complementary event is just an event where something must happen or it must not happen. So we've got two options and one of them must occur. There's no in between. An example of this would be if I had two cards and I said, well, what is the probability that I get a 2? Or what is the probability that I get a 3? Either, if I draw one card, it has to be either a 2 or it's going to be a 3. There's no other options. A similar example would be if I take a quarter and I said, I'm going to flip the coin, either I'm going to get a head or a tails. There is no in between. Unless you're lucky enough to stand it up on its side, let's say that's impossible, we can only have a head or a tails. So when we write this, we can say the probability of E, and I'll use E as the desirable event, or if this doesn't occur, then I'll call it its complement, the opposite, and we denote this as E prime or E dash. So either this occurs or its complement occurs. So in statistics or probability, we know that in these examples, what's the probability that I get the 2? Well, it's a 1 in 2 chance. Probability that I get a 3 is a 1 in 2. So if I add the two probabilities together, it gives me 1, which we know is a certainty. So that's a characteristic of a complementary event. If the event, the E, probability of it occurring, plus the probability of its complement, meaning it doesn't occur, has to equal 1. So all this is saying is one of these occurs, which tells me that both of them combined has to give me the guaranteed certainty of 1. That's all it means by a complementary event. I could write this in a similar way, where I could say probability of heads is equal to a half. Probability of, let's call it not heads, which would be its complement, is equal to a half. So therefore the sum of these two combined equals 1. In this example, heads would be the E, the desirable outcome, and not heads we could denote as a prime for its complement. So this could be the same as probability of heads plus probability heads prime, meaning not heads, gives us 1. So they're the same thing. The E is just our general notation. E refers to the desirable event that we want to happen.